We're four friends who live across the globe
and share a love of Bon Appétit's YouTube channel.
So we came together to bring you our thoughts on what BA serves up
and try our hands at recreating their dishes.
Welcome to Pod Appétit.
Good morning, Pod Appétit listeners. It is I, Justine. I am back. Did you miss me? So the last time I had a side dish episode, it was right before Halloween, and I made vegan Snickers, as you recall. And now, as I'm recording, it's 2 days after Thanksgiving, and I just made a lot of Thanksgiving foods, which I'll probably talk about or have talked about on the recap episode that you heard last week. So yeah, I just did a bunch of cooking a few days ago, and now here's my scheduled record time to make this dish. And I've just cleaned off all my countertops of all the dishes that I have done. Let's do this. It's time to get into the next holiday. That's why I'm here. We are making Basically's carrot loaf cake, continuing on to be the last person in our Pod Appétit bread month. Holla! You've had LJ make the pumpkin loaf, which I'm going to say is very similar to the loaf that I'm going to make today. They're both recipes by Ms. Molly Baz. But we've learned lessons. You saw what happened to LJ's loaf. If you didn't see it, go to our Instagram. She overfilled the pan, and I'm going to say in a moment that my recipe says the exact same thing, don't overfill. But whatever, we'll get into it. Sorry, LJ, I'm already putting you on blast. I'm going to do it, but I'm learning to take it very seriously. She said it in her episode. If Molly Baz says don't overfill, you do not overfill. Okay, we had Amanda make banana bread from Carla. We had Meg make Claire's monkey bread. Oh my God. Meg's episode was great because she was the only one that did a yeasted dough. I'm not about that life quite yet. Yeah, I'm making a carrot loaf cake, which I've never made before. I've done banana breads. I have a banana bread that I make a lot. It seems very similar. All these sort of loaves seem very similar. I think we can do this. I think you could make this. I'm 1,000% sure you who is listening can make this. So yeah, I have no doubt the ease and ability of me making this, because just 2 days ago I made a pear spice upside down cake and I knocked that out of the park. Thank you. It was really good. Check out my Instagram. But I just hopefully would like to share and impart to you, the listener, an easy way to make this vegan. It's not a vegan recipe on Basically, but Basically is known for having 10 ingredients or less, and they show you pictures of all the ingredients and they show you pictures of all the tools. So if you haven't checked out the Basically website on bonappetit.com, go there if you are a novice cook. I know we have a lot of Amanda fans out there and people being like, if Amanda can do it, I can do it. Start with Basically, like seriously. And I think this will be good. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, in my fridge right now, I've got Thanksgiving leftovers. I've got that pear spice cake. I've got a pumpkin pie, and I've got some apple pie in there. Now it's going to be joined by this. And I have a feeling I'm going to be bringing a lot of desserts to work on Monday. All right, so I was editing everybody else's episodes, and I think it was just Meg and LJ who are like, ooh, I've got my mise en place set out, all my things. I've pulled out all of everything that I need beforehand. Yeah, so I've got everything out on the countertops already. It's not that much stuff. Like I said, it's only 10 or less ingredients. The only things I need to go run to Trader Joe's to get were cream cheese and carrots. I had everything else, especially with making any sort of other holiday dishes, like using ground ginger, ground cinnamon, stuff that is in like the holiday cakes and cookies. There is no video accompanying this recipe. It's just a recipe that I had pinned earlier in the year. And when everybody's like, I want to do loaves and breads, and I'm like, oh, I've got one. I claim this one. I just saw it as something that I would personally like. And it's by Molly, and it's from April of this year. So I'm doing it. Yeah. And I think it's really good for this time of year. Okay, so here is the description on the site. The most casual, cool carrot cake of all time. A few notes on this recipe's star ingredient. We don't generally endorse the use of horse carrots, aka those giant ones that are often sold individually at the supermarket, because they lack sweetness, but also grating a bunch of slender young carrots can be kind of a pain. Seek out something in the middle, healthy-looking, medium-sized carrots, which should deliver the right balance of flavor and convenience. Well, at Trader Joe's, they don't sell individual carrots like they do at Whole Foods or probably Ralph's. So I got a bag of 1 pound carrots. They are medium size. This recipe calls for 3/4 a pound. And so in my last side dish episode, I did swear a lot because I was being and trying to be unedited and feeling frustrated about some things or excited about some things. I mean, to me, curse words or swear words are just words that accent in regular everyday life like other adjectives. But my parents have decided to start listening, and they were like, whoa, Justine, what is happening? And I'm like, I know, I'm an adult. Hey, how you doing? But they also heard me swearing about my food processor. So I got an early Christmas present. They got me a brand new Cuisinart 8-cup food processor. So thank you, Mom and Dad. They are supporting the podcast now. This podcast is brought to you by my mom and dad. And so I will not be shredding the carrots by hand, but I will be shredding using the shredding attachment in my brand new food processor. Yay. Okay, let's start. Ooh, another thing, if you haven't been on the Basically website, if you haven't looked on the recipes there, is that they show you, maybe even better than a video, it's the overhead step-by-step sort of GIFs of what to do. It's like really hit up Basically if you're a novice cook, because not only do they show you the ingredients and the tools, they actually show you the steps. Step 1. First things first, we need to get that 1 pound cream cheese to room temperature. If you don't have time to let it sit out on the counter for several hours, cut it into 1-inch pieces and place on a heat-proof plate on top of your stove, or microwave it for a little bit, not melted, but room temp. So, I have acquired 2 packages of 8-ounce vegan cream cheese, plain cheese, from Trader Joe's. If you don't have this Trader Joe's brand, another vegan cream cheese brand I'd recommend is Tofutti, which you could find in your Whole Foods. You can even find it in your Ralph or Jewel or whatever store that's in that family. If you're in a grocery store looking for vegan dairy, they do 1 or 2 things. It changes for like individual store to store. It doesn't even like fit per chain. That sometimes they put the things with the dairy. Sometimes you'll have your vegan cream cheese right next to your dairy cream cheese. But then other times, in another refrigerated section, they'll have all of the vegan items together. So it's like a one-stop shop for the vegan things. I don't know which is easier, but it's all depending on what your store is. But you will definitely be able to find vegan cream cheese in your local grocery store. No problem. So since I just bought this cream cheese and walked it home, I'm pretty sure it's like room temp. And like vegan cream cheese already is like soft and spreadable. It never really gets like that hard Philadelphia block cream cheese that it's showing in the picture. So I think it's pretty good to go. Step 2, place rack in middle of oven, preheat to 350. Lightly grease a 3x5 loaf pan with vegetable oil. Line pan lengthwise with parchment paper, leaving about a 2-inch overhang. Now we've seen everybody talk about this, the banana hammock that Carla does. How do they get parchment paper that hasn't been previously rolled? Like, all of my parchment paper is so finicky to work with because it just wants to roll back up like wrapping paper that I'm like, even just like laying it out flat is a hard thing to work with. So I'm going to oil up my pan and then cut some parchment paper. But I think I'm going to have a little bit of a struggle getting it to lay flat. I've never done this technique before, but I've been aching to try it since I saw Carla do it in her banana bread episode. I'm using canola oil as my neutral oil. And what you do to oil up a pan is to drop a bit of oil in it and then take a paper towel and then just kind of rub it all around the inside and up the sides of the pan. Oh yeah, that baby's looking real slick. Here comes the parchment paper struggle. It's definitely difficult to figure out how to cut the right size, and also I'm definitely not going to have a 2-inch overhang. I think this is good enough. Plus, I don't know why that you just can't knock out the pan on, like, just turn it over. It'll be fine. Just turn the pan over. There's nothing on top of it. Just flip the pan over onto your cooling rack. It'll be fine. That's what I think. Okay. Step 3, whisk 2 1/4 cup all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoon baking powder, 2 teaspoon ground ginger, 3/4 teaspoon baking soda, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, and 1.5 teaspoon diamond crystal or 1 teaspoon Morton kosher salt in a medium bowl. So this is get all your dry ingredients, whisk them in a bowl. Very standard baking. I think these were maybe the same steps in LJ's episode. Okay, I've got flour, baking powder, ground ginger, baking soda, cinnamon, might have put a little extra in there, but it doesn't matter. It's cinnamon. Come on. Now, last thing is salt. Now I'm going to whisk it with my whisk. Whisk it good. Now that's our dry ingredients. Next, I'm going to do a bit of the boring part where I portion out 3/4 of the carrots, wash them and peel them, cut off the ends, and then I get to use my grater option on my food processor for the first time. There's my bag of carrots. There are definitely some carrots that are way smaller than others. One of these days I will get a food scale. Ah yes, peeling vegetables. Must be the holidays. Okay, now my carrots are all prepped and I get to use my new toy. Very excited. Yeah, I don't quite yet know how this all attaches. Backwards than my old one. I already broke it. But sincerely, it is doing the job. I think that's it. Yeah, a little bit of a learning curve, some carrot chunks stuck at the top. But, you know, I don't have a box grater. I've got this, and I've got grated carrots now. Like, victory. I have grated carrots. Now, where was I? Okay. Let's see. You're supposed to grate it right into the bowl of dry ingredients and then use your hands to toss until well coated. Great. Cool. So this will be into the dry ingredients. Gonna get my hands dirty. So far, loving the food processor. Again, thank you, Mom and Dad. Thanks for sponsoring the podcast this episode, getting me this food processor. They were like, stop it. We hate it. Here's a thing. Stop complaining. And also Merry Christmas. Ooh. This is, oh God, this texture. I do not like this. The carrots are wet. Flour is flour. We're just out a day at the beach, dipping our hands in the sand. That's it. Scrape along the bottom, lift up. Scrape along the bottom, lift up. Ugh, I gotta wash my hands. Remember when Brad referenced Rocco's Modern Life? Turn the page, wash your hands. Turn the page, wash your hands. Ugh. I'm done with that bowl. I am going to put that aside, get my other bowl, get cream cheese. I'm going to preheat my oven now to 350. I always do it like halfway through the baking journey, between the dry and the wet. Because like if you heard in Amanda's episode where she's like, the oven's yelling at me, I'm nowhere near being done. I'm like, I never preheat the oven when they say to preheat the oven. Gas is expensive, yo. Step 5, scrape half of the cream cheese into a large bowl. This is for the batter. The other half is for the icing. Did I mention there's cream cheese icing in this? Heck yeah. Using a spatula, spread the cream cheese around the sides of the bowl, working it a few times with your spatula to help soften. Then we're going to add some stuff to it. We'll get to that. But first things first. Yeah, vegan cream cheese is already soft and spreadable, pliable. So I'm like, super easy. Spread it around. Okay. Next steps. Add 1.5 cups sugar and keep working with the spatula to completely incorporate it until it's no longer gritty and all sugar is dissolved. About 15 seconds. If you wanted to be like super vegan about this, you can get coconut sugar. And I did see that at Trader Joe's today. That's a lot of sugar. Note to self, buy more sugar. Okay, let's incorporate. Yeah, this is quite the task because that's a lot of sugar. Whew. Oh, it's starting to look like a frosting. Yeah, now it's looking like more like a cookie batter or cake batter in this case. It's beautiful. I love it. Next step. Crack 2 large eggs into bowl, then whisk until mixture is very smooth. It might look separated and chunky at first, but whisk vigorously and it will eventually come together. Okay. In this recipe, instead of using 2 large eggs, I'm going to use 2 1/4 cups of applesauce. Now, I know I normally use flaxseed meal in a lot of things, but using flaxseed meal as an egg replacer, making a flax egg, can cause some things that you bake to become dense. And I'm looking for an airier structure in this since we're making a loaf. So I'm using applesauce as a replacer. As you have seen in the last Back-to-Back Chef episode, Carly used bananas as an egg replacer. This is also an option. But as she mentioned, it can leave a banana taste, and they were making banana things. So applesauce is what I'm using for this. 1/4 cup equals 1 egg. Okay, my applesauce is in the bowl, and now I'm going to whisk vigorously. Woo. This looks smooth. It's a nice batter. It's got a good drizzle to it. I'm down. Slowly stream in 3/4 cup vegetable oil, whisking constantly to homogenize. Hooray, there's more whisking in my future. Jeez. Yeah, this could separate easily. I'm just like whisking and then a little splashy splash. Incorporate me. Oh my god, muscles for days. Okay, stream a little more. Whisk, 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 whisk. Come on, be as one. I'm channeling the spirit of Molly Baz. Guide my whisking arm. Gosh. Okay. Next step. Whisk it more, sucker. Ugh. It says add 2 teaspoons vanilla extract and whisk again to combine. 2 teaspoons. There it goes. There it goes. Step 6. fold dry ingredients into egg mixture with your spatula until almost no streaks of floury bits remain. Okay, dry goes into wet. Ooh, that was a plop. Fold. We all know our folding technique. Scrape, lift, over. Scrape, lift, over. There's a lot happening in this bowl. Scrape, lift, over. It's very thick. Oh, we're almost there. We are almost there. Yes, it's very little floury bits remain. Stop touching it. Step 7, scrape battered into prepared pan, smoothing the top with the back of spoon or spatula. And I don't remind you here at the bottom, do not overfill. Okay. Just all wants to come out in one big chunk. It's lumpy AF. I think all this batter can go in. Look at me, I'm LJ. I'm like, this could all fit. This could all fit. It could all be fine. It's nowhere near the top. Prepare for LJ moment in the future. Bake until a cake tester inserted to the center comes out clean, 80 to 90 minutes. Start checking doneness at the 70-minute mark to keep an eye on things. I'm going to check at like an hour. Okay, so it says it can take like up to an hour and a half. Sometimes my oven runs a little hot and things are done. So we're going to check it then. But I'm putting it in the oven now. While that is going, I can make my icing because in the recipe it's just like wait until the cake is cool, but still in this it's like cover and keep chill the icing until the cake is cool. So you could totally make it now. Let's do it. I've got a fresh bowl and new spatula in front of me. Step 9. Scrape remaining 8-ounce cream cheese into a medium bowl. Similarly to what you did earlier, use a spatula to work it around the sides of the bowl. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. Add remaining 1/4 cup sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon or a pinch of salt. Mix with spatula to bring everything together, paddling it as necessary until icing is very smooth and shiny. This will take some elbow grease, but don't give up. Oh my God. Time to break out the elbow grease. This isn't so bad. It's looking good. It's looking shiny. Sure. It looks like frosting. Okay, guys. So I'll be back when my cake is done and the frosting will be ready. Everything will be great. And then I'm sure I'll have no problem taking the loaf out of the loaf pan. It'll be fine. Okay. Here's the music. Okay. So the loaf baked for hour and 25 minutes before I confirmed its doneness. I've taken it out and then let it cool for the instructed 20 minutes. I am about to take it out of the pan, but first I will run a butter knife along the sides to get that extra release along the other side. I was worried for a bit because when you first put it in there, it like majorly like puffs up, but I feel like it settled down. It's like pretty even with the top of the pan now. It's not crazy like LJ's. I thought it was going to be crazy like LJ. I even like, it's puffing up. But I mean, like it puffed up, it settled down. It's fine. I'm going to lift it out. Oh, I can lift using the banana hammock just fine. And she's out. Perfect. Perfect. Successful landing. The top is nice and golden. The sides are a little bit darker brown. And now I just have to let this cool completely before I do any frosting. As you know, we don't want the frosting to melt and it be a horrible mess. Hi, it has been an undisclosed amount of time. It is cold and rainy, and I would really like to consume this loaf in front of me. It has been cooled, And now is the time where I take my cream cheese frosting, and then it gave the suggestion of adding like dollop, like all over it. And then once that's all dolloped on there, just take the back of the spoon, like, you know, Molly, and add the swirls to spread it out. So I'm going to do that. Okay, do I have enough? Looks good. Looks good. I just want to eat it. Let's swirl this. Swirl it like Molly. I don't know if I'm good at this part. This is like decorating part. I think I'm pretty happy with this. Now what we do to finish it off is some dashes of cinnamon on top. Oh god. This is the part where it looks not as professional. It's okay. I did it all along the same angle. So, ooh, that looks bad. It's fine. It doesn't look like them. I don't have a sieve. Okay. Yeah, my frosting is starting to melt a little bit because I was like, I want it now, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I put the rest of the cake in the fridge. I've got some slices in front of me. I see the carrot displaced uniformly. I like it because it's just like little specks of orange. I like the cream cheese topping. I'm going to go for a bite. It's yum. It's definitely very yum. It's definitely like a lightly spiced cake. Definitely carrot. It's like carrot cake, but like lighter and easier. Should try it. Okay, guys, now I'm back. It's been, I think a week later, and I've got LJ here.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, LJ. I'm so glad we get to talk.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about you a lot in this episode.
Really?
I was pretty worried that I overfilled
that was going to be
pan.
like my first question. Did you get any overspill? Or did you learn from my mistake?
You know what? I put it all in there because I was like, oh, there's room. But like as soon as you put it in the oven, that shit like just fucking rises
Puffs
like
up.
an inch up.
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
just goes whoosh.
Yeah.
So like
Scary.
I imagine if you already had it to the top,
Yeah.
then there would be problems.
Let's not talk about my problems. Let's talk about your successes.
No, I like inventing the phrase pulling an LJ.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
when your bake goes so wrong.
so wrong. I like to think that I just make those mistakes for the benefit of everyone else so that they do not do it after me.
Yeah. And it's not like anything that like you and I had planned. Because like, I forget how this whole like bread thing started.
Well,
was it you? I feel
people
like it was
wanted
you.
to make bread. No, Amanda wanted to make banana bread. I remember that.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I want to make pumpkin bread. And because Amanda and my side dish episodes go one after the other, we just were like, well, can we make this a bread season? Can we do it?
Yeah.
And,
Totally.
yeah.
And I had already pinned this recipe like on my personal Pinterest.
You
I mean,
had.
like, oh,
Yeah.
carrot loaf. I'll do that. Like, I know there's no video associated with it. It was just like, I had pinned this for personal.
That's
so like
okay.
when you guys were like, are there any breads or loaves or whatever that you like from BA? And I was like, oh yeah, there's this one.
Yeah.
But then like after you did yours, I think like I was editing your episode, but I had already looked at my recipe. I was like, oh my God, our loaves are really similar.
Right.
Did you think that?
Yeah, when I was reading your recipe, I did think like, well, it's basically the same, just with carrot instead of pumpkin,
Yeah.
right? And like the cream cheese frosting
Yeah.
you have on yours, but there's no frosting on mine. It's butter instead.
Butter.
But yeah, so why did you what about that recipe made you pin it in the first place? Because is carrot cake a favorite of yours, or
No, I've never made carrot cake. I've made similar loaves in this. I feel like I'm gonna be like, this was so easy for me because I've made loaves before. But I don't think this episode should be about like it should be difficult. It's
No,
like,
sure.
Yeah, I've made a lot of banana breads. I've made like banana breads with swirls, like chocolate swirls.
Okay.
Actually, I've made an apple loaf, which was similar to this as well. And then yeah, I do a lot of baking. So like crumb cakes and like all those sort of like morning yeah.
Yeah, like breakfast cake.
Yeah, like breakfast cake. I just had
That's a
a piece
thing.
of this for breakfast because I was like, I'm always like, it's carrot, so it's like mostly vegetable
Right.
and cream cheese. So
Exactly.
just ignore like the amount of sugar that's in it. It's
Don't
totally
worry
like
about
breakfast.
that. I think
No.
breakfast cake is a thing.
Yeah, we highly endorse breakfast cake on this podcast.
Yeah, it gets the Pod Appétit stamp of approval.
So yeah, I think I was just looking through various things. I don't know how it popped up to me. Maybe it was on like their Twitter or something. You know how they do like random recipes, and I saw that and I was just like, "Oh, nice! It's like my banana bread, but different." You know?
Something different. So, how did you veganize this? Because I noticed it's got egg. So my thought was, well, I guess maybe Justine used a flaxseed egg, maybe for that.
I actually went a different route.
Oh, okay. Tell me what happened.
Because this is a cake, you don't want it to be too dense. And I know flaxseed would be better in more dense things like cookies.
Right, yeah.
I used applesauce instead,
Oh.
which is a bit lighter in the bake.
I didn't know that you could substitute applesauce for egg. That's really interesting.
A quarter cup of applesauce equals 1 egg, and there's 2 eggs in this.
Wow. And then do you have to adjust the sugar then for sweetness? Or do you keep it the same?
No.
You just like, no?
No, I use unsweetened applesauce.
Oh, unsweetened applesauce. Okay, great. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like applesauce. I mean, you could totally eat it, but it's not like the little snack packs applesauce. You just get like a jar of unsweetened applesauce.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm learning so much. That's so cool. Okay, so that's better to keep it like a lighter sponge then than a dense one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't impose any other flavorings to it,
right.
like any sort of coconut product or a banana.
Yeah.
Like pureed fruit across the board is really good as substitutions for eggs.
Wow.
In baking.
That's a great tip because I had no idea. That's cool. And then what about the cream cheese? What did you do with that?
There is vegan cream cheese.
Ah, is there? Again, I'm learning so much.
Yeah, totally. And they come in 8-ounce packaging, like
Same.
your regular cream cheese.
Yeah.
Every single grocery store I go to now has vegan cream cheese.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's, I think, more readily available than like vegan sour cream or like vegan ricotta.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like those, like maybe are just like Whole Foods for now, but vegan cream cheese is very available out there.
That's really cool. So it wasn't too difficult then to change it up for veganizing.
No, seriously, it's just those 2 things in the recipe. There's nothing else that's not vegan.
Perfect. So did you come across any stumbling blocks, or was the recipe pretty good to follow? Any notes you'd give Molly for future?
Okay, one thing that I complain about is that I don't know where they get their parchment paper but from where I get my parchment paper, it comes in a roll and it hates being flat.
Right.
Like they always show like this beautiful long flat parchment paper and I'm just like, that is not my reality.
Oh, I see, like on the pictures that they show, the little videos of each step. That's interesting. I don't know if you can get, I've never seen parchment paper either that is just flat. I've always only ever seen it in a roll. But one thing that I have done in the past to keep it, if you want it flat in a tin, is I've greased the tin first so that it sticks and then it just won't pop out or whatever, which makes it slightly easier. But was there another bit where you were finding it awkward?
This recipe actually did take a lot of muscle, if you notice, and you were able to use a stand mixer for yours, right?
I use a stand mixer, for anything that I can get away with using it.
Mine is all done by hand.
Oh,
because
okay.
you've got to like really cream, because the cake itself has the cream cheese in there, so you got to like cream it.
Yeah.
You know, get it fluffed up and combine it with like the eggs and sugar sort of business.
Yeah.
And then when you're like folding in the carrots to all that too, like every step when you're just like till just combined, or even just before that where it's like, I think especially the cream cheese portion where it's like get it smooth and, you know, make sure all the sugar is dissolved. It's a lot of upper body work, this recipe.
That's interesting. Do you think there's a reason why they didn't suggest a stand mixer? Do you think you could do it in a stand mixer if you had one?
Maybe. I'm not sure if it's because regular cream cheese is so like dense. I find vegan cream cheese a bit softer than regular cream cheese. So I think it's because they're just used to like, it's not butter.
No.
It's this you really have to like smush out the cream cheese, really smush it, smush in the sugar, spin it around, like just really.
But I have used it in a stand mixer before. So when I've made cupcakes with like cream cheese frosting, you just chuck that in with icing sugar or like, what do you guys call it? Confectioner's sugar or something? Is that the powdered stuff?
Sugar.
Yeah. And you just whiz that up, and that's how I make my cream cheese frosting.
Yeah, no, I think you're right that this totally could be done in a stand mixer. I don't know. I don't know why Molly was like, do it all by fucking hand and earn it.
You do know that she's competitive and she likes to build her muscles for her, cream whisking competitions. So this is what it is. That's why she's got you like in training for. Someone could challenge you at any time.
No, but I'm like on the recording, like losing breath. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
it's almost there.
Seems like a workout.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
the whole thing is all by hand. I think that's the most difficult thing because it's your basic loaf recipe, your dry ingredient, your wet ingredient, and then you just like fold in your carrots with the wet, and then fold that all into your dry. You do get to like use your hands.
Yeah.
In with the carrots and the flour.
Yeah.
Like, make sure it's all covered, and it's like, ooh.
That's
it's
cool.
an interesting texture feeling of your fingers, and then you've got like flour hands. Well, I feel like you also know this, but the loaf it makes is freaking huge.
Right. Yeah, it's big.
It's a big loaf.
Yeah.
I still have some, even though I brought like a good majority. I did bring a good majority of it to work.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, how many did you share it with people? And
I shared it with 2 people in my personal life, and then brought it to work to like fend for the set it free into the wild.
And did it go down well? People liked it?
Yes, it did.
Oh.
I've got a lot of compliments from my boss, like immediately, like right in the morning. Like, he did not wait till lunch. He was like, your carrot cake is delicious. Like,
oh, wow.
I'm like, it is 10:30 a.m., sir. Like,
well, that's good. As long as he doesn't expect it now every week.
Yeah. Oh no, they like it. Like, I was trying to grab the last piece, for my friend, and then somebody else was like, "Oh, is there any left?" And I was like, "Okay, let's split it in half." And then she was just like, took it. She was like, "I love this. It's so good." She's like, "I also loved your cookies too." Like,
yeah. You could just keep making stuff and bringing it in.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, she said she loved it. Christina, who is our front desk, she said it was the best carrot cake she's ever had.
Wow, that's like high praise.
Yeah.
Well done.
I'm like, do you not eat a lot? I mean, like, to me, it's a simple recipe. It's a basic carrot cake.
No, but sometimes basic stuff done well can be the best stuff, right?
Aw, yeah.
So, yeah.
And then Fernando slacked me and was like, hey, do you mind if I get the recipe for the cake? He's like, I've been trying to bake more and I'd love to make this on Sunday.
Yay! You're influencing people, Justine. You're like inspiring them.
And shout out to Fernando if you're listening, because I sent him the recipe and he's like, oh, I love BA. And I was like, guess what? I have a podcast.
Will blow your mind.
Yeah. So he said he would listen. So if you're listening, Fernando.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Thanks for saying.
That's super cool. I'm so pleased that it went down well.
Yeah, and I was actually really surprised because I brought it in. It was the Monday after Thanksgiving. So I was like, if you guys are sick of desserts, I understand.
Don't need it. Yeah. Wow. But even then, people ate it. That's so cool. And does it keep well?
Yeah, I think it keeps well. And I just had a piece, and I'm not sure if it's the vegan cream cheese or if it's got because it's got the cinnamon on top, the top has gone a little dark.
Okay.
The frosting.
Okay. But it still tastes good?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, it's still fine. It's not like...
What are you worried about? Don't worry about that. Nobody cares about that.
I'm like, the color sort of shifted, but like other than that, it's still like moist.
Yeah, that's good because the pumpkin cake stays really good and like moist, because I'm always worried about cakes like drying out after you've cut into them and started eating them. But
yeah, I will say that since it's such a big cake, it takes a long time to bake to get the center done,
right,
which kind of makes definitely the bottom really hard.
Okay.
And even I think the sides a little bit, so like the bottom turned out a bit crispy, which is fine.
I like that. I like a bit of difference in the texture though. You don't want a soggy bottom.
Yeah, bottom was definitely not soggy. It was like you gotta do
here.
the extra knife work to just get it detached from its brethren.
But
you know?
I like I don't think much like with like actual bread, not cake bread, I like a crust. Like, I think that's good. I think it's a bit of a different texture. Like, I like the crispy bits at the end. They're my fave.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The ends of the cake are crispier. Yeah, it definitely has a sort of like crispy shell where it was touching the pan delicious. Because you're, baking it for so long.
Oh, well, that's cool. I think it sounds like a really good recommend in terms of a recipe for someone who's interested in baking and perhaps is not done a lot of it but wants to get started. Like, it seems like it's pretty simple from reading it through and from your experience as well.
We talked about it's a basic loaf recipe that you just change out any of the other things that make it unique and you've got a different loaf.
Because like the spices and stuff, as you say, are like almost exactly the same. In fact, they might just be the same as the pumpkin one, but it's just with carrot.
Do it up. I recommend it definitely for, like, I don't want to say amateur bakers, but
anyone. Go
for it. Anyone. It's a simple, you can bring it to a party.
People will love you and probably promote you. Like,
yeah.
If anyone's
I am now promoted. So if you either want to make cake or build up your upper body muscles, hit up this recipe.
Yes. It says only 80% of people would make it again on the website.
But I mean, look at the top comment that's new. 1 star. I hate this because my dad had diarrhea.
Okay.
That sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for listening to Pod Appétit, a Bon Appetit fan cast.
We'd love to hear from you, so find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest at pod_appetit.
And on Facebook at Pod Appétit Podcast.
You can also email us at podappetitpodcast@gmail.com and find all of our episodes on our website, podappetitpodcast.com.
Until next time, the test kitchen is closed.
Have you ever finished a book and wondered, what do I read next? Or wished that you were in a book club, but everyone you know says they don't have time to read? Maybe you enjoy audiobooks or are looking to try a new-to-you genre, author, or narrator. Hi, I'm Tamara, and I have a shelf addiction. I read books, listen to audiobooks, and I'm here to share with you the best of the best and to warn you off of the worst. I hope to open your mind to new and awesome books to feed your inner book nerd. I have a unique and honest perspective, and I look forward to talking books with you. From entertaining book chats and interviews to 5-minute book reviews, there's something for every type of reader on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Subscribe for free on your podcatcher of choice by going to shelfaddiction.com/podcast, and you too can have a shelf addiction.